Okay, let's just jump right in. We tend to think of sound as just something we hear, right? An invisible wave that travels through the air. But what if I told you it's so much more than that? What if sound is an actual physical force, a vibration that can travel through your body and interact with your biology on a cellular level? Today, we're going to explore the incredible science of how sound literally changes you from the inside out.
This quote from Hans Jenny, who is a pioneer in making sound visible, really gets to the heart of it. It frames our bodies not as a bunch of separate parts, but as this interconnected vibrational field. Think of it like an orchestra. If one violin is out of tune, you feel it at the entire symphony. Well, your body, it works a lot like that.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? It's one thing to say music makes us feel good, but it's a whole other thing to claim it can create real physical biological changes. How on earth does a simple vibration from, say, humming, actually alter our physiology? Well, that is exactly what we are going to break down.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the physics of sound itself. Then, we're going to dive into how our bodies directly respond to it. After that, we'll connect all this modern science to some really ancient traditions, shift into some practical ways you can actually use this stuff, and finally, take a peek at the future of sound as medicine.
All right, first up, the physical power of sound. Before we can really get how it affects our bodies, we've got to understand how sound delivers its energy in the first place. And honestly, it does it in a way that might just surprise you.
So get this. Here's a wild piece of physics for you. When sound waves cause atoms to bump into each other in the air, they actually generate something called far infrared light. Now, you can't see it, but it's the key delivery system. This light carries the sound's energy deep into your tissues. We're talking up to 4 centimeters deep. So the vibration isn't just on your skin, it's having a direct conversation with your cells. So, once that sonic energy gets inside your body, what actually happens? Well, this is where some truly remarkable biological switches get flipped on. First, let's talk about a real superstar molecule, nitric oxide, or NO. Your body makes it all the time, and it's absolutely vital for your health. What does it do? It relaxes your blood vessels, which helps improve circulation and lower blood pressure. It's also a powerhouse anti-inflammatory and a huge part of your immune system. So basically, anything that helps us make more of it is a very, very good thing. And here you can see exactly how that works. See how the nitric oxide molecules tell the muscle cells in the artery wall to just chill out? The result is a wider vessel, and that lets blood flow more freely. More blood flow means more oxygen and more nutrients getting delivered all over your body. So, where does sound fit into all this? This is where my mind was blown. This graph comes from a study that measured nitric oxide. That solid line, way down at the bottom, that's the amount of NO you produce during a normal, quiet exhale. But that dotted line that just shoots through the roof, that's the NO you make when you're humming. The difference is just staggering. To put it in really simple terms, humming increases the production of this vital molecule by up to 15 times. 15. The simple vibration you create in your sinuses just by humming is a powerful biohack to flood your system with all the amazing benefits of nitric oxide. But sound's power doesn't stop there. It can also fundamentally change how we experience pain. Okay, to get this, we need to look at something called the gate control theory of pain. It was proposed way back in 1965, and the idea is that your spinal cord has a kind of neurological gate. When you get hurt, pain signals travel up small nerve fibers, open the gate, and your brain says, ouch. But, and this is the important part, other signals can come along and close that gate. This diagram shows us exactly how. Sound, as a physical vibration, stimulates the big, fast nerve fibers, that's the L. These big fibers then activate a special neuron, the circle labeled SG, that basically acts as a bouncer. It closes the gate and stops the pain signals from the small fibers, the S, from ever getting to the brain. You're literally using a pleasant vibration to block out an unpleasant one. Okay, so we've seen the hard science. But what's truly incredible is how these biological mechanisms give us a whole new way of looking at practices that are thousands and thousands of years old. Let's build a bridge between that ancient wisdom and modern biology.
Just look at this timeline for a second. Humans were making flutes 50,000 years ago. Yogic practices that use sound and breath, pranayama, were being written about over 2,000 years ago, and yet the scientific theory that helps explain why it all works is less than 60 years old. It just goes to show you we've had this deep, intuitive understanding of sound's power long before we ever had the tools to measure it. And that understanding, it's totally universal.
I mean, look across cultures, across history. Sound has always been central to spiritual practice. You've got Buddhist chanting, Hindu mantras, Christian hymns, shamanic drumming. Humans have always used rhythmic sound to connect, to heal, and to reach different states of consciousness.
And here it is, the big aha moment. When a yogi chants Om, they're not just making a symbolic sound. From a purely biological standpoint, they are humming. And, as we just saw, that single act is flooding their body with up to 15 times more of that healing nitric oxide. It is the perfect example of an ancient spiritual tool being totally validated by modern science.
All right, so let's make this real. Let's bring this into your life. Because knowing the science is cool, but applying it, that's where the magic happens. So how can you actually start using sound to consciously boost your well-being?
It really doesn't have to be complicated. You can just weave sound into the things you already do. Try playing some ambient soundscapes while you work to stay in the zone. Maybe listen to nature sounds on your commute to de-stress. Use music with a killer beat to power through your workout. Even just some classical music in the car can make a huge difference to your state of mind.
Now, if you want to go a little deeper, you could try adding mantras to a yoga or meditation practice. It's super simple. First, just pick a mantra that feels good to you. Om Namah Shivaya is a great one to start with. Begin your practice by just chanting it while you're sitting, just to get centered. Then try to keep that chant going as you move through your poses. And finally, you finish your session with one last chant to really lock in that positive intention for the day. And for those of you who want to get really creative, you can actually start designing your own soundscapes for meditation. A key idea here is layering, or using what musicians call polychords. It's basically just combining multiple, distinct sounds all at once. When you do that, you create this rich, complex sonic texture that can really help guide your mind into a deeper state.
And here's how you can do it. It's easy. First, start with a base layer, a foundational sound you like, maybe the sound of rain. Second, add another element on top of that, like a soft bell that rings every now and then, or a low, steady drone. Play around with the volume of each part until it just feels right to you. And third, create a whole playlist of these custom tracks. You're basically becoming the DJ for your own inner peace.
So finally, where's all of this going? Well, using sound isn't just some wellness trend. It's actually a growing field of legitimate medical science.
We're seeing some incredible new tools being developed. I'm talking about things like sonopuncture, where you use precise sound frequencies on acupuncture points instead of needles. Researchers are also figuring out how to use sound to stimulate the vagus nerve, which is the super important nerve that controls everything from your heart rate to inflammation. The bottom line is that sound is becoming a really targeted, non-invasive, drug-free tool for therapy.
So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with this one thought. Your body is a resonant instrument. It's constantly vibrating, constantly creating its own internal symphony. The sounds you choose to surround yourself with and the sounds you choose to make yourself are, in a very real way, the music you're choosing to play on that instrument. So, my question for you is, what music will you choose to play today?